if I start telling people about hell, I might just scare them off. Where are you going to scare them off to? Hell number 2? Or are you just going to sit there and let them burn?
So I see there's a rise in a lot of anti-Semitism nowadays, and some of it's going along with what people think Zionism is. And I understand that in the nation of Israel there's good and bad. So how do you separate what's going on to what people think?
Well, we demonstrate in the book that there are 2 end-time regatherings of Israel back from their worldwide dispersion. And the first end-time regathering is going on now, and that is bringing them back in unbelief. Now, there's probably 30,000 Jewish believers or so in the land of Israel, but they'll be taken in the rapture, and that ends the current church age. And during the 7-year tribulation, which is the finishing of the 70th week of Daniel, that is a time when God is going to use Israel to evangelize the world. And he's going to have the 144,000 Jewish believers, and he's going to have the nation of Israel, because in Revelation, it's like 11 and 12, it talks about Jerusalem and the 2 witnesses and the Jewish people fleeing to Petra and all of these other kinds of things taking place. And so Israel has to be back in the land. And one of the purposes of the tribulation is, which is called the time of Jacob or Israel's trouble, is to lead to the purging out of unbelieving Jews, so that by the time you get to the end of the tribulation period, then every Jewish person will be a believer, because the condition for the second coming is that the Jewish people have to accept Jesus as their Messiah and then call on him to rescue them, and that's what will happen. And so the Jewish people will spiritually, they will look upon him whom they pierced, as Zechariah 12:10 says, and they will mourn, and they will come to faith in the Messiah, and he will come to rescue them as the whole armies of the world come to attack God's city, Jerusalem, and the Jewish people. And so we point out that what's going on, yes, there's a bunch of unbelievers over there in Israel, but in order for a person to become a believer, you have to be an unbeliever. And it's the purpose of the tribulation is to lead to the conversion of the nation of Israel, so that, as Paul said in Romans 11:25, that all Israel will be saved, that you have to go through that process. So it makes sense that the current gathering is in unbelief. And so there's some Jews who break the law, who are not nice people, just like in regular society, but that doesn't mean they're not God's chosen nation. And then the second regathering will be at the second coming. We see this in Matthew 24:31, where it says he will send his angels to gather his elect. And in the context, elect refers to Jewish believers, from the 4 winds of the sky, from one end to the other, one end of the earth to the other. And they will be all brought back to Israel to begin the 1,000-year millennial reign. And so that's what we're seeing, I think, the first regathering of Israel today, in preparation for events that will take place after the rapture of the church.
Okay. All right.
Very interesting, I must say. Very interesting. Just to hear your thoughts on how the timeline is. And I never actually looked at it like the entire nation, other than those that are unbelievers, will be saved. So in essence, what you're saying is that that nation on a whole they'll come to the understanding of who Jesus Christ is.
Yes, and those that don't will be purged out, like in Ezekiel chapter 20 and Ezekiel 22. In other words, they'll be removed, they'll be killed. You have in Zechariah 13:7 and 8, the comment that 2/3 will be removed, and the 1/3 will be saved of the nation. So apparently, it's 2/3 will not become believers, but they'll be purged out. But the 1/3 that does, they will that will result in the fact that all Israel will be saved at the end. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying.
If you like our videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to get all our frequent updates.